Every time I go on the internet, you on the internet.
Commander Brown.
On my goddamn social media.
Detroit Urban Survival Training.
Getting all the views.
Commander Brown.
All over my TikTok. Well, you ain't on TikTok no more. But all over my Instagram.
Bro, what are you doing here? Urban Training.
On my Facebook. On my YouTube.
Commander Brown.
I can't even look at football without seeing your butt.
Detroit Urban Survival Training. Intelligent options. Increase survivability.
So it's pretty obvious that I'm talking about Detroit Urban Survival Training in this video because, I mean, they're like everywhere at this point. Everyone is talking about them, and if there's one thing that I know the YouTube likes, it's when creators all get together to talk about some trending topic that'll keep people here on YouTube's platform. So look, I watched a whole lot of videos about Detroit Urban Survival Training over the weekend. I watched videos from people that I liked who said that, well, the stuff that they're doing doesn't work. And I watched videos from people that I don't like who said that the stuff they're doing will get somebody hurt. I even watched videos from people that I've never even heard of who said that their stuff is complete garbage. Now, after watching all of these different videos and seeing reaction videos from people who don't even know anything about self-defense and martial arts, I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I don't even know what to think about Detroit Urban Survival Training anymore. And I mean, look, that's me being completely fair and honest. So how about this? After trying to read everything that I could find and actually sitting down to listen to the news stories and interviews with Dale Brown, what if I just tell y'all what I've learned? And then at the end, you guys tell me what you think the problem is with Detroit Urban Survival Training. Is that fair?
It's clearly Bullshido.
Okay, well, let's start with the beginning.
Commander Brown, Detroit Urban Survival Training.
So Dale Brown, the man behind Commander Brown, Detroit Urban Survival Training, and all of these viral self-defense videos, was actually sort of a military brat growing up. His mother was a military officer, a doctor, and a firearms instructor, so I guess it was in his blood to turn out the way he did.
I want to know what his background is. Dale, what have you done?
Dale started training in wrestling at the age of 8, and he got into traditional martial arts at the age of 10, and that's when he started training at least 2 Tang Soo Do schools. Dale continued with the wrestling thing, but the whole Budo philosophy hooked him, so he started to venture deeper into the Japanese style, starting with Kyokushin karate, but he'd eventually get exposed to other Japanese schools, including Jiu-Jitsu and Aikido. Dale would also follow in his mother's footsteps and join the military, where he served as an airborne paratrooper in the Army. After his tour of service, he went on to become a private investigator and eventually a self-defense instructor, which brings us to the origins of what would eventually become Detroit Urban Survival Training.
I'm curious to what his background is in martial arts.
His style is called the Eclecticon style, which is a configuration of all the martial arts that he's learned over the years, apparently.
In 1993, Dale Brown founded the Eclecticon Survival System, which he started teaching on the east side of Detroit about a year later. Dale blended Kyokushin karate, Hapkido, Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, Jeet Kune Do, and Chin Na to create the system, and it's what he's been training and teaching for almost 30 years.
Dale always preaches 3 moves or less. I don't know why he hasn't said that in his video. It's always 3 moves or less.
Dale says that everything in the self-defense demonstrations comes straight from traditional martial arts because that's what went into creating the Eclecticon system.
This is nonsense.
This shit would never work. It's clearly Bullshido.
There is no doubt in my mind this man believes Senzu beans is real.
Now, what some of the commentators would have you believe is that, well, Dale took the worst of these systems and he's teaching Bullshido that will get someone hurt.
This brother gonna get somebody killed.
It's not.
The thing is, I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, yes, I have had my doubts about some of the stuff Dale shows in his videos. Every technique isn't going to work 100% of the time. There's another famous self-defense instructor, Tim Larkin.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Larkin. I'm here to talk about the knockout.
Who has coined his saying, techniques get you killed, but principles will save your life. But, I mean, to borrow from Tim Larkin for a moment, well, how do we know that Dale isn't actually teaching principles? How many people have actually taken the time to look into what is actually being taught at the Detroit Urban Survival Training beyond just looking at some Instagram posts and YouTube shorts? One of Dale's former employees said that he used some of the stuff that Dale teaches while on a job.
I've done all of these in real world situations.
And yes, he did say that he felt that some of the weapon disarm stuff might be a little bit suspect, but will it really get you killed?
If you listen to his gun disarming techniques, you'll get fucking killed.
But if you do have to try a guy with a gun, don't do nothing he just showed you right here unless you have a death wish.
Dale has had 6 employees get shot in the field, and all of them survived. Now, if it were true that this training is dangerous and would get somebody hurt, well, how would Dale manage to still be in business this long? I mean, what? Did you guys think that he never existed before last year, back when his wife took over the company's social media, and then they just started producing all these viral videos like they didn't exist before all of that? I mean, if this stuff was dangerous, there would have been bodies dropping all over Detroit, and Dale would have gone out of business a long time ago. I mean, there are people who have disarmed active shooters without any training at all. Like when James Shaw Jr. was able to disarm Travis Jeffrey Ranking at a Waffle House in South Nashville back in 2018 after Ranking shot up the Waffle House with an AR-15. I mean, so what's your argument gonna be now? That it's better to have zero training than to have some Bullshido McDojo training? Well, here's the problem with that argument, because McDojo Life likes to frequently post a school that used to be in East Nashville on his social media, and the school's still around, but they've moved out to Hendersonville outside of Nashville. Well, back in 2018, one of the students from that school was featured in the news because he disarmed a guy who decided to pull his gun in an East Nashville bar. Now, when you see the security footage, yes, that disarm could have gone completely different, but it didn't. So, I mean, is that the proper way to pull off a gun disarm? I don't know if it is, because look, man, that's not what I'm teaching, but based on the fact that Brad made it home without getting shot, look, I'm gonna say it's good enough. I mean, when I see all these people in the comments talking about, well, that's not safe, that's gonna get someone shot. My question is this: who are these guys who train with SEAL Team 6 that y'all believe are going around pulling guns on people? I mean, have you even considered the fact that there might be people walking around with guns who don't know how to use them, or they're in some mental state where they're crazy enough just to be dangerous, but a well-trained person might be able to spot them from a mile away and use some other tools to deter a violent situation before the weapon is even drawn? I mean, while everyone is around here talking about what Dale teaches doesn't work, how come y'all don't know about the other stuff that Dale teaches that isn't in the viral videos?
He's clearly inept and doesn't know shit about shit.
What about the other part of the curriculum that includes psychology, communication skills, and knowing what you can and cannot do legally in a self-defense situation?
What we specifically focus on is how to prevent negative occurrences through non-violent strategies. So we teach people how to prevent violent situations by creating conditions that center on the use of psychology.
Like all of these MMA guys criticizing Dale's stuff, did you know that in certain states, you will go to jail in a self-defense situation if you've had any kind of combat sports training, even if you were the victim in the situation? Virginia is a state where those kinds of laws are on the books. I know because I met an amateur MMA athlete who was working as a bouncer. He went to jail for defending himself simply because he trained to compete in a mixed martial arts competition. So maybe some of the stuff that Dale has demonstrated is meant to keep you from going to jail. But I mean, that doesn't matter to most people on the internet, right? You guys have all the answers.
You ain't got the answer, Sway.
I mean, to some people, all that matters is that this guy's posted Bullshido to the internet and then he's getting exposed, right?
I was with him too! Man, what you Detroit Urban Survival Training. They skip their training and that's what happens.
He's more interested in becoming a meme or becoming insta-famous than being a legit self-defense instructor. I mean, that's what the word on the street is about Commander Brown and Detroit Urban Survival Training. And that's from people on the internet who haven't actually been paying attention. So look, y'all, this is a theme that I see when it comes to what we would call the rise of Detroit Urban Survival Training. And the theme is that tragedy creates opportunity. A tragic event happened in 1996 where a domestic abuse victim was dragged from her car and thrown off of a bridge in Detroit while her daughter and a crowd of onlookers watched. From that point, Dale Brown started teaching his self-defense classes in the parks. By the year 2000, Dale started Threat Management, his security company. Oh, what? You thought that Detroit Urban Survival Training was just some McDojo that's teaching Bullshido self-defense? Well, guess what? You were wrong. If you did your homework, you would know that this is Detroit that we're talking about. And Dale, he started a security company around the year 2000. Now, why is this at all important? Well, what did I say before? Because tragedy creates opportunity. Look, here's a history lesson. In 2001, Kwame Kilpatrick became the mayor of Detroit. Do you want to talk about a tragedy or more like a complete self-disaster? By 2005, Kwame Kilpatrick was voted the worst mayor in America. The city was rife with corruption and political scandals. Somehow, Kwame Kilpatrick won his re-election in 2006, only to be removed from office in 2008 because of perjury. Now, what does this all have to do with Commander Brown and Detroit Urban Survival Training? Well, after all of the corruption in those lawsuits, the city of Detroit was at one point paying out something like $50 million a year in lawsuit settlements. The city was completely bankrupt, which means no money for public services like public education, the fire department, the police. Do you see where I'm going with this? Detroit city schools were some of the worst schools in America. Something like only 25% of the freshmen who would start high school at a public school were going to graduate. And then half of those graduates, they might be illiterate. So you've got a situation where you have a large population of undereducated, illiterate, poor people in Detroit. And then you've got a whole lot of wealthy people in the suburbs. And guess what? They don't want those poor people coming out there to steal their stuff. Like I said, tragedy creates opportunity, and Dale Brown is an excellent businessman.
Don't get it twisted. Dale Brown is a millionaire.
See, y'all were laughing and kiki-kiing at the self-defense videos. Y'all were calling him a meme when the joke has really been on y'all this entire time. Dale Brown's Vipers have been doing security escort for these cigarette companies for almost 2 decades. Did you know that one case of a carton of cigarettes is worth something like $10,000? So how much do you think someone would pay to protect an entire truckload of them? How come y'all didn't stop to ask where he got the money to buy that Hummer, those rib boats, those motorcycles, and all that other equipment? You better follow the money. What you think, TikTok paid for all of that? Y'all are supposed to be martial artists here, but these guys who've been laughing in the comments all these months, y'all are really looking like some old dumbass fools. You see the neighborhoods Dale's guys are doing on their patrols? It ain't poor people living in those houses, people.
Brown says his 60-person Viper force has more than 5,000 private citizens as clients.
Dale has been running a multi-million-dollar security business for something like 20 years. He never needed to let his wife take over their social media. He's already got money. So look, when I decided to do this video, I came into it only knowing what I'd seen everyone else saying about Dale Brown and Detroit Urban Survival Training. I saw him do the video on Enter the Dojo with Master Ken, and then I saw him in one of Country Wayne's skits. Now, if I had only gone off of what everyone else was saying, I would have thought that Commander Brown was either trying to be a character like Master Wong,
I do the stuff for the street,
or he was trying to break into Hollywood and become the Black Steven Seagal. Now, I'm glad that I took a deeper look and found out that he's been running a legitimate business for years before anyone started talking about him all over social media. But I mean, that does raise the question, why do all of this? If you're running a multi-million-dollar security and education business, why become a social media influencer? Well, look, there's really a simple explanation to that. Like I said, Dale Brown is a businessman. His wife took over the social media marketing. They blew up on TikTok and then they got kicked off. They blew up on Instagram and they're all over YouTube. And everyone is talking about them. And why did they do it? What, the clout chase? You think it's a grift? Y'all better start following the money before you just start making shit up. Detroit Urban Survival Training is a security company, a self-defense school, and they provide free bodyguard services to domestic abuse and stalking victims.
The father, who is a drug dealer from Yemen, this individual is currently at the home. Our objective is to reunite the 2-year-old daughter with the mother.
And what was threat management able to do for you?
Get my baby back.
Excellent. And is there anything else that we can do for you today?
No.
They've taken to social media to increase their reach. It's called brand awareness, y'all. Why?
Go to Detroit Urban Survival Training online and look us up.
Well, look, man, all any intelligent person had to do was go look at their website. Do you see way down there at the bottom where it says franchise opportunities available? Yeah, that's why. They're looking to expand their business.
So more workers, right? More employees means more clientele, which means more contracts.
And every reaction video, every video saying their techniques don't work, every video talking about the rise and fall of Detroit urban survival training, that's just increasing their brand awareness. Sometimes bad publicity really is better than no publicity. And look, at the end of the day, it's like Eazy-E said, Dre Day only meant Eazy's payday. So after all of that, look, I think the problem with Detroit urban survival training is that they've tricked everyone on the internet into helping them increase their profits.
He's probably hand over hand making fucking millions of dollars right now.
So maybe some of y'all are right. Commander Brown might really be a troll because he tricked everyone into helping him make even more money. Hey man, those H3 Hummers ain't cheap. And after all of this, his security patrols might have a whole fleet of Hummers soon. So look man, I'm really sorry that I didn't expose Commander Brown as being the black Steven Seagal. But you know what? If you want to hear about the real Steven Seagal, you can check out this video on the problem with Steven Seagal, and then stay tuned for an update to that video where I'm going to share what really happened between Steven Seagal and Judo Gene LaBelle. Also real quick, so I just want to know, after hearing all of this stuff about Commander Brown and Detroit urban survival training, what do you think? Has this video at all changed your opinion about him and his company? Let me know down in the comments. And before you go, remember to do this. Keep training, remember to breathe, and I'll see you in the next video.